Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. Last week we talked about the miracle that God used. That's right. Thanks for bringing it back. That God used Elisha to pour the salt into the spring or the water to make the water better so that they could. Peter sure loves this salt, throwing it, so that they could eat. They'd drink the water, and then so that the water could irrigate the land and they could have food. We're going to talk about another miracle that God uses Elisha to do, and it does have to do with food again. So in chapter 4, verse 38, it says, "And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land." So I researched this great research. It's real easy. It's a famine, which is kind of what I thought, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't a reason they used dearth instead of famine. So there was a famine. No food, okay, because of a lack of water. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him, and he said unto his servant, "Set on the great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets." So he calls his servant on up. He's like, "All right, servant, we've got these people here who are listening to us, who want to eat because they're really hungry and they've been learning here at school all day. So we're going to make them some pottage. Can you go get us some vegetables?" You do that? All right, go get us some vegetables. So verse 39 says, "And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not." So the servant goes out into the field. He finds this wild vine. He's like, "Awesome! Look at all these gourds on this wild vine. This will be great." Comes back, shreds them up, puts them in the pot. This is going to be awesome. He's got some porridge to feed the people. He's so excited about it. So they poured out for the men to eat, and it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, "Oh, thou man of God, there is death in the pot!" And they could not eat thereof. So when the servant had gone out to find that wild gourd, probably the reason it was still there, it was poisonous. So there was poison in the soup. And so when they ate it, they're like, oh, man of God, the pottage, it's bad, it's poisonous." What do you think's going to happen, boys and girls? Is Elisha just going to let them all die? Like, no, he's probably going to pray. That's right, Peter. Verse 41, "But he said, Then bring meal, and he cast it into the pot, and he said, Pour out for the people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot." So he says, "All right, get me some meal. We'll put that in the pot, and then we can give it to everybody, and they can eat of it." Peter's all over the eating stuff. So boys and girls, there was a famine, so there was a lack of food to begin with. So it was a miracle to even find food. And then the food was poisonous, and Elisha was able, with God's power, to make it not poisonous, to make it good to eat for the people. So God provides, boys and girls. These people had a need, and God fulfilled it. God provided for it. Boys and girls, do you trust God to provide? When you need something, do you trust that God can get it for you? God takes care of his children, boys and girls. These people were sitting, learning from Elisha. They wanted to learn more about God, and God took care of them. Do you trust God to take care of you, or do you worry? Boys and girls, I'll say, at least for me, it's pretty easy to worry. Really easy, unfortunately. But we need to trust the Lord. And sometimes we say that word, and we're like, what's that mean? Or what's that idea? Or that's so hard because it's in my head. But boys and girls, it's the knowledge of God's promises that he gives to us in his word that we say, you know what, God? You said it's true. I'm going to believe it's true. I'm not going to worry about it. Boys and girls, if we can trust God for the most important decision in our whole lives, we can trust him to save us from our sins, we can sure trust him with the fact that he'll provide our needs like he promises in his word. Trusting him for salvation, boys and girls, is the most important decision that you can ever make. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next week and following up